right, from the tank on the campus of the College of Staten Island, you're watching CUNY Game of the Week coverage right here on CSI Sportsnet. This afternoon in a big conference doubleheader, the College of Staten Island will take on Brooklyn College in what will be a huge swing in both standings in the regular season here this afternoon. Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Babuski, joined by my broadcast partner, Joe Foreman. And, you know, Joe, we start out here with a game this afternoon between two teams that are running first and second in the conference. The Dolphins with just one loss on the year, tied with Hunter College. Brooklyn right behind them with just two losses on the year in a huge swing game that could decide who has regular season bragging rights here in 2018.
And this game could also decide who has that all-important first-round bye in the CUNYAC tournament. Taking a look down the line right now, Staten Island and Hunter atop the standings, as you mentioned. There's a look on your screen. Dolphins with a record of 11-1, Hunter with a record of 10-1, and Brooklyn right behind Hunter with a record of 9-2. And with a win in this game, Brooklyn would even up the season series with the College of Staten Island. Dolphins took the first game between these two teams, but this game remains huge as a loss would drop CSI down to 11-2. Brooklyn would improve to 10-2, and Brooklyn might have an opportunity to overtake CSI down the stretch with a victory in this game. The men also have a big game looming later in the afternoon. We'll cover that here on CSI Sportsnet as well, of course, but the Dolphins women come in playing very good basketball, red hot, winners of 7 consecutive games, and Dolphins really have looked excellent. That last game against York, a bit closer than they expected in the first half. A lot of credit to the Cardinals in that one. They played far better than they did here at the tank in the first half of that game. Dolphins really pulled away late in the second quarter and into the second half. And as I mentioned, the women come in riding an 8-game winning streak entering this matchup against Brooklyn. Yeah,
you know, Joe, it was a good performance on the road for the Dolphins. You know, York has been down the last couple of years, but they have had very good teams in the past, and they're starting to get much better. And, you know, Dolphins had 4 players in double figures that game. McEwen, Callie, Perone, and Tadero all finishing in double digits in points. And, you know, it's good to see Jackie Callie continue her good shooting as well in that game, Joe, going 7 of 11 from the field, finishing with 14 points and along with 3 rebounds. And, you know, they're going to need all of that tonight against a very good Brooklyn College team, a Brooklyn College team that has been playing very well, has just had 2 losses all year long. And, you know, the last time these two teams met, the Dolphins were able to come away with a victory, but it was a very hard-fought game that really could have gone either way, and we expect something similar here this afternoon.
Well, you mentioned the effort the Dolphins would need from Jackie Callie in this one, and if they get shooting from Callie like they did in that game against the Cardinals, their offense will be in much better shape, not only in this game here today against Brooklyn College, but throughout the remainder of the season. Callie, as you mentioned, was 7-11 in that game, but what you didn't mention is that she didn't hit a single three-pointer, so if they can get scoring from Callie inside of the three-point arc, that would be a huge boost to a team that typically scores their points inside. Most of the Dolphins' points come in the paint or from the mid-range area, and you have to love what you've seen from this team shooting the basketball from the mid-range. Really, all of the Dolphins' regular big women in the game for them, able to shoot the basketball, able to rebound the basketball. Kayla Schmitter and Rosa Perone, along with Diana Tadaro, getting consistent minutes, of course, doing a great job shooting the ball from the mid-range area, rebounding. The issue for them has been foul trouble. The Dolphins need those players to stay out of foul trouble in this game, and that could go a long way toward deciding the outcome. If the Bulldogs can get those 3 players into foul trouble and onto the bench, you have to like the opportunity it gives them to gain an advantage over the Dolphins with those players out of the game.
Yeah, and you know, Joe, that works both ways because Brooklyn College comes in with a little bit of a smaller roster than they have in the past. And, you know, one of the key differences in that game earlier this year between these two teams was the fact that some of Brooklyn College bigger players got in foul trouble, especially in that fourth quarter. So, you know, the question of fouls could be a problem for both teams here this afternoon.
It certainly could. And I'm taking a look at the last meeting between these two teams, some of the foul tallies from that game. Rosa Perone for the Dolphins had 4 fouls. She's found herself in foul trouble, I think it's fair to say, in the majority of the Dolphins games so far this year. And Perone will be back in the starting lineup for the College of Staten Island in this one, alongside Diana Todaro, Megan McEwen, Nicole and Bessie, and Jackie Callie. But another number that stands out from that last meeting between the Dolphins and the Bulldogs is that the Dolphins only had 1 double-digit scorer in that game. It was Diana Todaro with 17 points and 11 rebounds, a double-double for Diana in that game. She played 35 minutes. Megan McEwen, 1 of 11 in 39 minutes. I would think that has to be one of Megan's worst performances of the season, and I doubt we'll see that repeated a second time, as Megan has been consistent offensively for this team all year long. We'll see if they get that consistent play that we've seen from her throughout the season in this matchup against the Bulldogs. And given the 3-point victory in their first meeting, I think the Dolphins may need it.
Yeah, Joe, again, that was a game that the Dolphins found themselves down in the fourth quarter of that game. And, it was really a close game that really could have gone either way. And, you take a look at this Brooklyn College team, and, we mentioned they're coming off of a big win against Lehman College, but they've also played very well in the conference. They're 9-2 in conference play, and, we're really getting down to the end of the season now here, Joe. The Dolphins, after the game here today, with just 3 conference games remaining, against Hunter, Lehman, and Baruch, will wrap up the Dolphins schedule here in 2019. And, you look at Lehman and the way that Baruch has been playing all year. Both those teams have been really struggling. But, you look at the key swing here for the Dolphins in the regular season, with both Brooklyn and Hunter College coming up. This regular season could finish either way for the Dolphins. They could finish up in first, or they could find themselves finishing as far back as third place. But, Joe, we know from last year that when you get into the tournament, these regular season games don't always mean something, because the Dolphins went into that tournament having struggled a little bit, but then came back and played well.
Well, there's no greater example of the regular season games not meaning all too much than what the men did last year. They fell into a position where they had to host a quarterfinal round game against Brooklyn. Nearly fell in that game. Eden Brachich with a late 3-pointer to propel them to victory in that one. The men then went on to win the CUNYAC championship last year and play an NCAA tournament game that we were fortunate enough to cover. A very exciting game that they did lose at Cabrini. But very quickly for the women, you mentioned how big this matchup is against Brooklyn. Dolphins could finish as high as first, as low as third. If they win this game against the Bulldogs, the winner of the Dolphins and Hawks will likely finish the season atop the CUNYAC standings for the women, and I think that is a sure thing if the Dolphins win this game. The winner of that next matchup between the Dolphins and Hawks finishing first in the conference. So we'll see if the Dolphins can get the job done here in this one. They don't want to look too far ahead. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We have a great matchup on hand coming up next year from the Tank.
Yeah, and Joe, before we go to break here and get you ready with the starting lineups when we come back, we should mention that Alexandra Mugen just 17 points away from joining the 1,000-point club for Brooklyn College. So Alexandra with a opportunity here on the CUNYAC Game of the Week to reach really what is always a great milestone for all these collegiate players. So we're just moments away from the start of the game here this afternoon. Why don't we step aside, take a break, and we'll get you back with the starting lineups and the start of this afternoon's doubleheader as you're watching CUNYAC Game of the Week coverage right here on CSI Sportsnet, CSIDolphins.com.
Do you want to retire like a champ? Just like legendary basketball star Uncle Drew?
Don't do it like that, Uncle Drew!
You're already acing the game. You've got your dream ride.
Don't be slamming my door.
Sorry about that.
You just did the same.
Gotta get the boys.
Your dream vacation and your dream team. And now you can make your retirement just as legendary.
I get buckets.
Get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
First time I tried Vicodin, it was laying around my mom's house. And then I kept taking them whenever I could get them. I didn't know they'd be this addictive. I didn't know how far I'd go to get more.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth.
No doubt you're going places, young lady.
Thank you. And thank you for the interview as well. I can imagine it was the last thing that you wanted to do after such a long campaign meeting.
You really are a very intelligent young woman. You're very smooth.
You're very smooth yourself.
You have no idea.
Awkward. I'm the awkward silence. You try to avoid me, then there I am again.
But an awkward silence can be a great thing.
Like Kelly here is about to demonstrate.
You haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
We're back, and we're just moments away from the start of this afternoon's doubleheader here on the CUNYAC Game of the Week. The College of Staten Island getting ready to face Brooklyn College. The Dolphins coming into today's game, just one loss in conference play. Brooklyn College coming in with a record of 9-2 in the conference, and they'll be looking to get even with the College of Staten Island here this afternoon. So as the players are getting introduced out on the floor, why don't we bring you the starting lineups for today's game? And here to bring you that starting lineup, my broadcast partner, Joe Foreman. Joe?
For the visiting Brooklyn College Bulldogs, it will be a 5'5" sophomore guard, number 2, Michelle Pena. Also starting for the Bulldogs, a 5'10" senior, number 4, Alexandra Mugen. We mentioned she is 17 points away from 1,000. Also starting for the Bulldogs, a 5-foot sophomore guard, number 22, Taylor George. A 5'10" senior forward, number 25, Jasmine Hanskin. And the final starter for Brooklyn College, a 5'9" sophomore forward, number 33, Chanel Jamat. And for the College of Staten Island, the starting lineup is the normal starting lineup for the College of Staten Island. They departed from that lineup against Medgar Evers, are back to it here today against Brooklyn. It will be 5'4" sophomore guard, number 1, Megan McEwen. 5'7" senior guard, number 5, Nicole Bessie. 5'8" junior forward, number 13, Diana Tadaro. A 5'7" senior guard, number 24, Jacqueline Callie. And the final starter for the Dolphins in the middle, a 6-foot senior forward, number 32, Rosa Perone.
The Dolphins coached by first-year coach Nicole Sarcone. Sarcone, really doing a great job with this team here in this 2018-19 season. Joe, we talked a little bit earlier in the pregame show about the earlier matchup between these two teams, and it really was a tough game, and it was a game that Brooklyn College, especially in a third quarter where they outscored the Dolphins 19-8, were seemingly able to take control of that game, especially early in the fourth quarter. But the Dolphins were really able to storm back, outscoring Brooklyn 18-7 in that fourth quarter to come away with the win. And Joe, we really expect a similar type of game here this afternoon.
And taking a look at the numbers from that game, neither team shot the ball particularly well. Brooklyn shot under 32% in that game. The Dolphins just above 36%, though they did shoot 36% from beyond the three-point line, albeit on only 4 makes. And you mentioned the changes this team has made under Nicole Sarcone this year, and one of the most distinct differences we've seen between this year's team and last year's team is that this year's team scores many more points inside. Last year's team looked to run quite a bit off of defensive rebounds, get out in transition. This year's team seems a bit more content running the half-court offense, working the ball inside, and shooting the mid-range jump shot. Far fewer threes. It's served them well so far this season.
Yeah, the Dolphins averaging 66 points a game. Brooklyn College comes in averaging over 70, and we're underway here with the CUNYAC Game of the Week. Pena with the basketball. Pressed outside by Mbesi. She looks to hand the ball inside to Jaman, and we're going to have a whistle and an offensive foul to start the game on the Bulldogs.
An early foul call where if it goes the other way, it could certainly hurt the Dolphins. We mentioned the potential for foul trouble. The Dolphins, big players getting into that foul trouble consistently there. It's Perone drawing the charge. Big call early in the game. Dolphins with their first possession coming up.
So it will be Dolphins with the basketball as that's McEwen. Gets the ball out over to Callie as the Dolphins set up on their first offensive possession here this afternoon. Bounce pass inside to Perone, and a strong move inside by Perone. Dolphins lead 2-0.
Perfect example of what I just mentioned. The Dolphins getting into their half-court offense, working the ball inside, and Perone, who's done a great job for them offensively in the low post this season, finishes.
So Dolphins with the takeaway. They lob the ball inside to Mbesi. Back to Perone, but we're going to have a whistle and a 3-second violation on the Dolphins, so the teams exchange turnovers, Joe.
That's a quick whistle there on the 3 seconds. Dolphins just came away with the steal, and Perone knocked down that mid-range jump shot. It's 2 points off the board with that call. Possession to the Bulldogs.
So Bulldogs with possession of the basketball as they're able to get the ball up to Taylor George. Nice bounce inside as the layup that time is up, no good. Rebound grabbed by Hanskin and knocked out of bounds by Perone. So Perone with the block, and it'll be Bulldog basketball.
Very active start to the game for Rosa Perone. Has looked good at both ends of the floor so far.
Pena to inbound the basketball for the Bulldogs with 21 on the shot clock. A lob pass will be retrieved by George, and she'll hand the ball to Pena as Brooklyn will look to set up offensively. George working on McEwen. Bounce pass now goes inside to Jamont, who's able to lay the ball up and in, and Jamont ties the game up at 2. Dolphins with the basketball as it's Tadero. Long three-pointer, that's going to be short, and Brooklyn with the basketball. 2-2 to score as George with the basketball now. Feeding the ball inside now to Hanskin, and she lays it up and in, and she had a good game the last time these two teams met, and Brooklyn leads 4-2. Callie with the basketball, drives it inside, ball blocked away beautifully. And Jamont with the basketball now for Brooklyn College. Nice defensive play by Perone. And now the Dolphins look to run off the turnover. McEwen's layup is up, no good. The ball will be knocked out of bounds. Last touched by Pena. So it'll be CSI basketball. And Joe, the team's going back and forth. Brooklyn with the early 2-point lead.
Well, you have to like what you've seen from Rosa Perone early. Very active defensively, already with a block. Came up with the steal there from behind to deny the Bulldogs a fast break opportunity, and then hustling back to the offensive end of the floor, forcing the Bulldogs to touch that ball last, granting the Dolphins another possession.
Perone taking the ball on the outside. Now, floater in the lane is up and in. So Perone off to a hot start, Joe. She's hit her first 2 shots, and one was waved off by a 3-second violation.
Could very well be 3 of 3. Strong start at both ends of the floor for Rosa.
George with the basketball, drives inside. The ball blocked away. Second block for the Dolphins here early in the first quarter. Callie, McEwen, back out over to Callie as the Dolphins now set up offensively. Callie working against Mugen. She feeds it inside to McEwen, and the Dolphins turn the ball over, and now Mbesi will pick up the foul in the backcourt.
And I think something that isn't talked about enough is the amount of fouls committed by this Dolphins team immediately following turnovers. Very often we see the opposition turn the ball over. The Dolphins commit a quick foul, and you see team fouls pile up quickly that way. And when you have some of your taller players typically getting into foul trouble, those are fouls you can't afford.
So it's Nicole Salcone taking an immediate 30-second timeout here for the Dolphins, Joe, as we have an opportunity to see that Perone move to the basket and an unorthodox one-handed shot, but Rosa's starting off strong for the Dolphins here this afternoon.
She has, and she's certainly leading the way for this Dolphins team early, but you can also be a leader by registering for Army or ROTC. You can become both a leader and officer in the United States Army, Army Reserve, or Army National Guard. You could also be eligible for a full tuition scholarship. Lead the team that makes a difference. Contact CUNY ROTC today at 212-650-6478. Again, that's 212-650-6478. Paid for by the United States Army.
So it will be Brooklyn College to inbound the basketball here. Offer the 30-second timeout early in this first quarter, and the game is tied at 4. Pena bringing the ball up the floor now, gets the ball out over to George. Pena with 20 on the shot clock now. Mugen, a nice pass inside to Haskin. Her layup is up, no good. Nice play that time by Brooklyn, but they can't finish with the shot. Callie to Darrow, back out over to Mbesi. Her shot is up, no good. And it'll be Jamont with the rebound for the Bulldogs. Perone, another nice play to force the turnover, and now Callie will be fouled from behind. And that will be on Jamont. That will be her first, the team's second. So the Dolphins will get to inbound here as we have an opportunity to see that personal foul once again.
That whistle may have negated a basket as well, Mike.
McEwen over to Tadero. Now it's Mbesi out by the three-point line. McEwen puts up her first three-pointer of the afternoon. That's no good, but Perone grabs another offensive rebound. A beautiful feed inside to McEwen, who lays it up and in. Beautiful play that time, and the Dolphins regain the lead.
And the tremendous start for Rosa Perone continues, picks up the assist there already. A couple of steals and 4 points to go along with it. And we will have a timeout call. Looks like the Bulldogs will take one.
Yeah, now it's head coach Alex Lang taking the timeout here for Brooklyn College as we see Perone with a beautiful feed inside and beautiful camera work there, Joe. Really showed you that open lane that Perone saw, who was able to drive it inside and get it to McEwen, who laid it up and in.
And as I'm sure many of our viewers are as well, we're still getting used to this new camera angle. The inverted Dolphin throws me off a little bit in the middle of center court, but you got a good look at that last Dolphins basket, and you get to see some of the stands on the opposite side of the gym. Fortunately, when you're viewing the action, you can see that our stands are indeed filled behind Mike and I, so a good new camera angle here on CSI Sportsnet debuted with our last doubleheader, but with a quick break in the action once again, we would like to thank another one of our sponsors. That would be Pepsi. Pepsi is the official soft drink of the CUNY Athletic Conference, and we'd like to thank them for their sponsorship of this CUNY Game of the Week.
Dolphins come out looking to press once again, but Pena able to break up the center of the floor, and now we're going to have a whistle and a double dribble called, so Brooklyn College will turn the ball over once again. And you know, a lot of times in these games, Joe, turnovers can make a big difference. Brooklyn College already with 6 turnovers here in just 4 minutes play.
And we've seen this Dolphins defense do a great job of forcing turnovers all season long. It's been no different early in this game.
And Bessie bounce pass over to Perone, but now the Dolphins will turn the ball over and the teams will trade turnovers. So a substitution out on the floor. Kelly Teitler coming in. 6'3" freshman, Joe. And Brooklyn College is able to come at you with a lot of size with this lineup. And now it's Mugen putting up her first shot, a three-pointer. She buries it, and the Bulldogs regain a 7-6 lead. Callie over to McEwen. Now Callie. Tadero on the baseline. Dolphins working the ball around the perimeter, and Mbesi hits the open outside shot.
Great ball movement by this Dolphins team once again. We've been saying that all season long. Their passing has been excellent in the half court, and we saw it on display with that last possession.
Dolphins coming out pressing early, but Brooklyn with a nice plan against it that time as they feed the ball inside to Jasmine Hanskin, who lays it up and in. Dolphins turn the ball over for the 4th time here in the first quarter, and it'll be Brooklyn College now with the basketball as Trembone brings the ball up the floor. Kayla, another freshman on this Bulldog team, is a lot of exciting freshman players on this Brooklyn College roster, as now it's George with the basketball. Trembone working the ball in the corner to Hashkin. Her outside jumper is no good, and McEwen bringing the ball down after grabbing the rebound. Inside to Perone. Back out over to Mbesi. And this time we'll have a whistle and an offensive rebound on Rosa Perone.
A tough foul call there against Perone. She caught the ball and got rid of it immediately, but couldn't slow her momentum and barreled into the defender. But going back very quickly to that last basket made by the Bulldogs, maybe even 2 baskets ago off that Dolphins press. Good, well-prepared teams will not allow themselves to fall victim to the full-court press as the Bulldogs do right there.
As that time, Tadero comes away with the basketball over to Rubinski, who checked into the game. And Mugen comes over to knock the ball away. Alexandra now 14 points away from reaching 1,000 points as a Bulldog. Mbesi with the basketball. Mbesi looking to work against the much smaller Taylor George. Now it's over to Perone. Inside to Tadero, who goes up strong and lays it up and in. Big, strong move that time by Diana Tadero as she's able to take the ball inside against the bigger Teitler lay it up and in and draw the foul.
Well, a big 17.8 of 12 outing for Todaro last time against the Bulldogs. Gets on the board in this one with 4:12 to play in the first quarter. Can add one more from the line here, but a strong finish inside by Diana, and we've said that so many times this year.
So Todaro will complete the three-point play. A 59% free throw shooter coming into the game, and the Dolphins regained a 2-point lead, 11-9. Brooklyn now working the ball back outside, as the ball's going to be knocked away from Trombone, but recovered nicely there by Hanskin. She fights her way inside, and we're going to have a whistle and a foul inside. And that foul is going to be on Rosa Perone, and that will be her second. And, you know, once again, Joe, Rosa playing very well, but picking up that second personal foul, and may have to come over to the bench.
And I think she will, as Kayla Schmitter heads over to the scorer's table. And the Dolphins are very fortunate to have a player like Schmitter ready to come in off the bench and contribute immediately at the offensive end of the floor. You don't lose much with Schmitter coming into the game at the offensive end. You may even gain a little bit, as Schmitter has shot the ball extremely well so far this year. She's been efficient, but has also fallen victim to foul trouble of her own. So we'll see if Kayla can stay out of foul trouble and give the Dolphins some quality minutes in relief of Perone.
The Bulldogs coming in shooting 64% from the free throw line as a team, hit 1 of 2. And now it's an 11-10 Dolphin lead. And Bessie McEwen over in the corner to Rubisky. Her open three-pointer is good. Brianna Rubisky with the first three-pointer for the Dolphins, Joe. They take a 4-point lead.
And she likes those corner threes. We've seen her spot up there many times before, and she knocks it down again.
Dolphins with their biggest lead here of the game. It's 4 points, as it's Teitler working the ball out on the outside, and now they get the ball back up over to Hanskin. Hanskin driving down the lane and lays it up and in once again, and she's shown an ability to take the ball to the basket here, Joe, in the early going.
And we've seen her finish with both hands. A nice swoop across the lane, finishing with the left hand earlier, and then takes it to the rim and finishes off glass with the right on that last shot.
Schmitter working the ball up over to Todaro. Her jumper is in and out, and Bessie grabs the rebound on the inside and draws the foul. And that foul will probably be on Teitler, and that will be her second, as you see the three-point shot there by Brianna Rubinski. So, and Bessie will go to the free throw line to shoot 2. That first one is up and in. Nicole now 9 of 13 from the free throw line on the year. So she goes up over 70%. And there'll be one more from Bessie, and that's up and in. So she hits both her free throws, and the Dolphins now lead 16-12.
With that last made free throw, the Dolphins now have 3 offensive boards, 6 second chance points early in this game. Dolphins have done good work on the offensive glass, and there it pays off from the free throw line.
So Chanel Jamont will check back into the game now for the Bulldogs as they look to immediately feed her inside the post. A nice play that time by Rubisky to reach in and force the jump ball, which will cause the turnover, and the Dolphins will regain possession. Good defensive play that time by the Dolphins, Joe.
And we've seen the Dolphins exert defensive pressure throughout this game. It's resulted in an easy basket or 2 for the Bulldogs, but overall, the defensive pressure has certainly given Brooklyn problems early in this one.
Rubisky double teamed nicely in the corner, but the Dolphins able to work the ball around, and now it's in Bessie. Schmitter, her mid-range jumper is up no good, and Jamont able to grab the rebound for the Bulldogs. Brooklyn looking to run the ball up the floor quickly. Now it's Jamont. She feeds the ball up over to Heskin, and a mid-range jumper is good. She's hurt the Dolphins all game long, Joe. She has 9 of the 14 Brooklyn College points.
It's been a great start for Jasmine Hanskin. Dolphins may have to key in on her a bit more moving forward.
And Bessie looking to pass that ball in the corner, and ball gets knocked away. And then, like you mentioned before, Joe, Todaro picks up the foul deep in the backcourt.
So if you want to look at the Dolphins' starting lineup as a traditional starting 5, I think Todaro would be the power forward, Perone the center. Between the two of them, already 3 fouls. Perone is on the bench with a pair of her own fouls, and now Todaro is one away from likely being relegated to the bench as well.
Brooklyn College shooting 60% from the floor here, 6 of 10, and they find themselves down by 2. As that time, George takes the ball to the basket, and McEwen picks up the foul, and that was a tough foul call on the outside, Joe, against McEwen, and that will result in free throws here for Brooklyn College. As George goes to the line, and her first free throw is up and in. She'll have one more upcoming. Taylor, a 67% free throw shooter on the year. She makes them both, and we're tied at 16 with 1 minute 40 seconds remaining here in the first quarter. McEwen working the ball out over to Mbesi. Now McEwen over to Tadero. Brooklyn tried to swarm the basketball. Rubitsky shot is no good, and the rebound grab by Jamont. And here comes Brooklyn College looking to run. Trembone with the basketball. Hashkin, her jumper is good. She's red hot in this first quarter, and she gives Brooklyn an 18-16 lead. Brooklyn College now on a 6-0 run.
She's already exceeded her season's average, averaging 10.9 points per game on the season. She has 11.
Now McEwen puts up that three-pointer. That's no good. And Jamont up high to grab the rebound now for the Bulldogs. 1 minute left here in the first quarter. Trembone with the basketball, looking to work against McEwen. 13 seconds on the shot clock. Trembone now in the corner to George. George looking to drive inside. She hands off to Jamont. Her shot rolls around the rim, no good. And now here comes McEwen for the Dolphins. Schmitter looking to work her way inside. Now Tadero, her jumper is up, no good, blocked away nicely by Hanskin. So to remain Dolphin basketball, 18 on the shot clock. About a 1.3 second differential as you see Hanskin continuing to hurt the Dolphins here this afternoon so far.
It appears Brooklyn has the Dolphins well scouted, ready for Tadaro to take that baseline mid-range jump shot.
As the pass inside to McEwen is up, no good. Brooklyn can hold for the last shot, but Jamont drives it inside, lays it up and in, and draws the foul. So I don't know if that's the best play there, Joe, taking the ball to the basket with the shot clock off, but it works out well for Brooklyn College as Jamont able to take the ball to the rim and draw the foul as Rubitsky picks up her first, and Brooklyn finds themselves with a 4-point lead and 11.1 seconds remaining here in the first quarter.
Well, the Brooklyn fans to our right certainly like that move, and a strong finish by Jamont in transition, disregarding the last shot opportunity and converting from the line on the and one. And that's a three-point possession for the Bulldogs, increasing their lead to 5 as we get another look at that move by Jamont, finishing through traffic with the left hand.
Yeah, Brooklyn College now on a 9-0 run here to close out the first quarter, and the Dolphins with 7 seconds remaining. Rubitsky, Tadero, out over to McEwen. McEwen's floater in the lane is up, no good, and we'll have 1 quarter in the books. The Dolphins trail by a score of 21-16. So we'll step aside and take a break. Brooklyn College 21, CSI 16. You're watching the CUNYAC Game of the Week right here on CSI Sportsnet, CSIDolphins.com.
You make me wear my bike helmet. Taught me never to run with scissors.
You tell me to stay away from drugs.
To always buckle my seatbelt. And to follow the swimming rules.
You're always looking out for me and trying to keep me safe.
So why do you keep a loaded gun in your drawer?
Here in the garage.
Closet. Shoebox. Under the bed.
Where anyone can get to it. How safe is that?
How safe is that?
How safe is that?
You asked them to follow some safety rules. Now they're asking you. In fact, they're counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. If you own a firearm and are not using it, please be responsible and be sure that it's stored in a safe place. Remember, always lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org.
We're back here, 1 quarter in the books, Joe, and the Dolphins led this game by a score of 16-12, but a big 9-0 run by Brooklyn College, and they go into the start of the second quarter with their biggest lead of the game, 21-16.
Largely due to the play of Jasmine Hanskin in that first quarter. She was 5 of 7 with 11 points. I mentioned it before. She has already exceeded her season scoring average of 10.9 points per game. Huge quarter for Jasmine and the Bulldogs leading by 5.
So it's Brooklyn College now with the basketball, as that's Pena handing the ball off to George with 15 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Layup is up, no good, but Jamont able to grab the rebound, and Schmitter forced to foul her. So Jamont now taking the ball to the basket twice, strongly in the last 2 possessions, Joe, and drawing 2 fouls.
And there's a quick first foul on Kayla Schmitter. Came in later in that first quarter. I mentioned a lot of the Dolphins players getting into foul trouble, and now with Rosa Perone already relegated to the bench, both Tadaro and Schmitter have a foul of their own. CSI simply can't afford to see another one of them pick up a second foul early in quarter number 2, as Jamont knocks down the first free throw, extending the Bulldogs' lead to a game-high 6 points.
One more free throw upcoming here, as that second free throw is up and in, so she's hit her last 3. And Brooklyn College now with their biggest lead of the game, 23-16. And, you know, Joe, the Dolphins got off to a pretty good start, but they've really cooled off since the midway point of that first quarter. Tadaro working the ball back now to Rubisky. Now in the corner to Schmitter. Schmitter feeds it inside to Tadaro. Her shot is up, no good. Dolphins now 6 of 19 from the field, and it'll be a jump ball, and the possession arrow will go to the Dolphins.
Seen some good hustle plays from the Dolphins to earn themselves some extra possessions, and right now they've needed those possessions, trailing already by 7 points. Brooklyn has cleaned up their play a bit over the last few minutes, not allowing the Dolphins easy baskets off of turnovers.
Schmitter with the basketball. Now feeds the ball outside to Kamalingo. Now it's over in the corner to McEwen, whose shot is up and in, and she's just 1 of 7 on the afternoon, Joe, but a big 3-pointer there to make it a 4-point game.
That shot was much needed for the Dolphins. Perhaps a momentum swinger. We'll see if they can come up with a big stop here.
Pena with the basketball, and she's going to get called for the travel. So Brooklyn College will turn the ball over for the 8th time here this afternoon, as we have an opportunity to see that 3-point shot there by Megan McEwen.
Well, I mentioned the Dolphins capitalizing on the Brooklyn turnovers. Now already 12 points for CSI off of Bulldogs turnovers in this game. Brooklyn had cleaned up their play late in that first. A couple of early turnovers here in the second.
Kamalango with the basketball, hands it off to Rubisky. Now out over to McEwen in the corner. Kamalango driving down the lane, a tough one-hander, and she's going to get called for an offensive foul. And not sure about that one. Looked like a tough call there. But that foul will be on Kamalengo, and that's going to be her first, Joe.
Seen a lot of whistles early in this game. We'll see if that trend continues throughout. It really could shape the outcome if these two teams frequent the free throw line.
Pena now with the basketball here for the Bulldogs as they have a 4-point lead. George able to step inside McEwen as she went for the steal. That shot's up, no good. 5-4 possession, and the Bulldogs able to come away with the basketball. Now Mugen puts up a tough 3-pointer and buries it. She's now 2 of 2 from 3-point land. She has 6, and Brooklyn leads by 7.
Mugen showing off the range on that one. That was a deep 3-point attempt.
Tadaro with the basketball as she works the ball over to Moylan, and she's going to get called for the travel. We have an opportunity to look at that 3-pointer. She now moves within 11 points of 1,000 for the Bulldogs. Pena working the ball across the midcourt line. Now Jamont. Jamont handing the ball off to George. Now looks to feed it back inside, but the Dolphins able to come away with the turnover. Kamalengo over to Tadaro, and her mid-range jumper is good. Diana Tadaro gets her second basket of the afternoon. She has 5, and it's a 5-point game. Haskin working the ball out over to Pena. Now Jamont looking to work against Moylan. She turns the jumpers up, no good, and that'll go out of bounds, and it'll be Dolphin basketball.
And you often hear from advanced analytics many times that the mid-range jump shot is the lowest percentage shot in the game of basketball. Certainly not the case for this Dolphins team. They have shot the mid-range jumper and more of some close-range jumpers as well extremely well so far this season. That has been the case early in this game.
Dolphins now with the basketball as that's Trubisky. Brianna over to Tadero. Dolphins looking to work the ball around the three-point line. Now Camerlengo puts up the long three-pointer and buries it. Christina gets her first basket of the afternoon, and it's a 2-point Bulldog lead. Pena, under duress, gets the ball out over to Jamont. Jamont now over to Pena. They work the ball inside to Haskins. Her shot is up, no good. Ball knocked around, and now it's Moylan with the basketball for the Dolphins. Trubisky bringing the ball across the midcourt line. Now it's Tadero. Tadero looking to work her way inside. Now pulls up, takes the long two-pointer, that's short, and Pena there to grab the rebound for the Bulldogs. Mugen puts up that long three-pointer, that's no good. And a whistle and a foul from behind as Tori Moylan will pick up the personal as we see the Christina Camerlengo three-pointer there. And that foul will be on Moylan as she picks up a personal foul. And, you know, pretty clear foul here, Joe, as you saw Moylan just give a shot to Jamon in the back, and she'll pick up the personal for the Dolphins.
Well, we got to look at that Camerlengo three-pointer. Camerlengo is third on the Dolphins in three-point attempts behind Megan McEwen and Jackie Callie. She's connected on about 26% of her threes.
That long three-pointer that time taken by Trembone is up no good, as that ball is going to go out of bounds, and initially called for the Dolphins, and now call will change over to Brooklyn College, so it will be Bulldog basketball. As it will be Trembone bringing the ball up, taking the ball inside, and Dolphin defense kind of just parted out of the way, Joe, and let her lay it up and in.
Looked like they were both hedging toward the passing lanes. They didn't catch which two Dolphins were defending the play, but both players hedging toward the passing lanes and allowing an easy layup inside for Trembone.
Tadero, lob pass out to McEwen. McEwen fighting away inside, up over to Camerlengo. Her three-pointer is up, no good, but she'll be fouled on the play as Martinez Espina will pick up the personal foul, and you know that head coach Alex Lang doesn't like that one, as you have an opportunity to see that nice move to the basket on the last possession by the Bulldogs, as Christina will now go to the free throw line to shoot three. As her first is up, no good. Camerlengo shooting 57% from the line coming into the game here this afternoon. She'll have two more. That's up, no good, as Dolphins missed their first two.
I mentioned before, Mike, sorry, that in that last game against Brooklyn, or I should say I mentioned the free throw shooting could help dictate the outcome. Dolphins shot 53% from the line in that game against the Bulldogs earlier this season. Bulldogs up over 69%, so the Dolphins will certainly need to be better than that from the free throw line in this one.
Yeah, and a lot of those misses were in the fourth quarter of that game as well, Joe, and really could have came back to hurt the Dolphins, but we have a one-point game here as we head toward the midway point of the second quarter. Trembone with the basketball. Trembone looking to work against Trubisky. Now feeds the ball up over to Haskins. She looks to drive down the lane once again. The shot is no good, and Schmitter goes up strong to grab that defensive rebound. Trubisky gets the ball up over in the corner now, and then this time Mbesi will get called for the travel. So the Dolphins will turn the ball over. 10-9, the turnovers here this afternoon. So both teams turning the ball over, and it'll be Brooklyn College with the basketball. Outside shot by Haskett is up, no good. Two Dolphins on the floor. Brooklyn is able to come away with the offensive rebound. Trembone, fresh 30-second clock, gets the ball out over to George. George looking to break down the defense, back to Trembone. Now Taylor with the open three-pointer. It's in and out, and McEwen comes away with the rebound. McEwen, beautiful feed inside to Rubisky, who lays it up and in.
We mentioned the Dolphins' ball moving in the half court, but tremendous vision there by Megan McEwen in transition. They've passed the ball well on the fast break, as well as doing it extremely well in the half court.
Brianna now with 5 for the Dolphins, and it's a 1-point Brooklyn College lead. George with the basketball. George looking to work inside, is Moreland going to get called for the foul out on the floor, and that will be her second. So that'll be the 4th foul on the Dolphins, so the Dolphins will be over the limit with any more personal fouls for the remainder of the half.
Well, I wasn't certain when the whistle blew. That foul did come before the shot attempt inside.
Mugen with the basketball. Now Haskin. Haskin looking to work against Mugen, and she'll lose possession, and it'll be Dolphin ball.
Dolphins now with a chance to take the lead on this possession. They have really capitalized off of the Brooklyn turnovers so far. 14 points for CSI off Bulldog turnovers. That's more than half of their scoring.
As now we're going to have a travel called on the Dolphins, so Dolphins will turn the ball over. And Diana Tadero will check back in for the Dolphins as both teams even from the floor. As you see the turnovers on your screen, 11-10. Brooklyn with one more turnover here this afternoon. Both teams shooting 10 of 24 from the field so far here this afternoon, and it's a 1-point game. Trembone with the basketball. Now it's Haskin. Haskin feeding it inside to Jamont. Jamont with a strong move to the basket but can't finish, and Schmitter grabs the rebound for the Dolphins. And Bessie bounce pass into Schmitter. Schmitter fighting her way inside. Her shot's up, no good. That ball will be knocked out of bounds. Last touch by the Bulldogs, so it will be Dolphin basketball. Shot clock will stay at 18, Joe.
And I mentioned the turnover numbers. We saw them on your screen just moments ago. The Dolphins averaging 18 turnovers per game, so they're on pace for above that average. Brooklyn right at 20, on pace for slightly more than that.
And the long three-pointer is good. Big basket there by Schmitter, who shows the range from the three-point line to give the Dolphins a 2-point lead.
And I'm not sure she gets enough credit for her range from beyond the arc. Can really score it from anywhere on the floor, and that's just so valuable to this team.
Yeah, you know, she's very fundamentally sound for a first-year player as Jamont drives inside, and she'll draw the foul once again. Nice play there by Brooklyn College as you see Schmitter hit that three-pointer, but a nice play that time by Brooklyn, drawing the defense towards them and getting Jamont to the basket with an open lane.
That's a big second foul charge to Kayla Schmitter. We'll see if she gets to play out the remainder of this first half. I don't see anyone at the scorer's table yet, so looks like Jackie Callie will head there now. But we saw that Schmitter 3 rattle in just a few moments ago on your screen. We've shot around on those rims many mornings here at the tank before the workday begins, and that is a friendly rim down at that end of the floor, Mike. It's noticeable, and I've seen it. We shot around at the other end, not as friendly, so we'll see if that benefits Brooklyn in the second half. Dolphins shooting on that rim right now.
So Jamont was perfect from the line before that miss, and the Dolphins have a 30-29 lead with 2 minutes and 30 seconds remaining here in the first half. Rubisky over to Mbessi. Mbessi feeding it over to Schmitter. Now back up over to Rubisky. Tadero, long cross-court pass as McEwen works her way inside, and she's going to draw the foul, as that foul will be on Haskins, and that will be the second foul for Jasmine.
Well, second foul on Hanskin. Fortunately for her, she picks it up late in this first half. We'll see if they leave her in the game to potentially pick up a third foul before the half is out. It will be McEwen heading to the line, and Megan, no stranger to contact. Each player has issued a pair of knee sleeves for themselves at the start of the year, and you can see her knee sleeves are torn up. She winds up down on the floor, often chasing after loose balls and going down on shot attempts, much like that last one we saw as Kayla Schmitter will head over to the bench, and Jackie Callie checks in. McEwen at the line for one more. Dolphins now leading by 2 after a bit of a slow start to the second quarter.
Megan, one of the better free throw shooters coming into today's game, shooting 74%. She splits the pair, but Callie is there to grab the offensive rebound, and the Dolphins will have a fresh possession. And Bessie looking to use the Tadero screen, and she gets called for the foul, and I thought she might have gotten there in time there, Joe, but the official disagrees.
It looked like the whistle came with the ferocity of that screen. It didn't come when Tadaro initially set the screen, but once the Brooklyn player went down, the whistle came. So I'm not sure if the result of the screen was the reason for the whistle, but either way now, that's 2 fouls on Tadaro, 2 on Schmitter, and 2 on Perrone.
Yeah, big foul at the end of the first quarter, so let's see what Brooklyn does as it's Jamont handing the ball off to George. I get the ball right back to Jamont working against Tadaro if I was the Brooklyn College Bulldogs, and they do, and she lays it up and in.
Good job by Diana not fouling there. You could see the look on her face. She was simply trying to avoid picking up that third foul and did a good job of doing so.
Now McEwen getting it to Tadaro, back out over to Callie. That shot is way off, and the rebound grabbed by Brooklyn, and they're looking to run, tied at 31. Mugen getting the ball back out over to Pena. Pena looking to work against Robisky. A nice move inside. The shot's up, no good. Jamont grabs the rebound, and we're going to have a whistle and a jump ball, and the possession arrow will go to Brooklyn College. 17 seconds remaining on the shot clock, tied at 31, and the Bulldogs to inbound the basketball. Fed inside to Mugen, who's able to lay it up and in. Alexandra playing well, and she now has 8 on the afternoon. 9 points away from 1,000 is Alexandra. McEwen looking to feed it inside, and we're going to have a whistle and a foul. So let's see who that's on. And that will be on George. That will be her first, team's third. So the Dolphins will inbound the basketball with 1:01 remaining and 30 on the shot clock.
Always some aspiring referees in the stands behind us after that call.
McEwen is able to lay it up and in. 33 apiece. Pena with the basketball now for the Bulldogs. Pena looking to drive across the lane against Robisky. She takes the ball inside, and a beautiful block by the Dolphins, and they have the basketball. Robisky now out over to McEwen. Now it's Tadaro. Tadaro puts up the jumper from the free-throw line. That's short, but the rebound is grabbed by Mbesi, who's able to drive inside. That layup is up no good, but Tadaro able to grab the rebound. That puts up no good. Dolphins rushing their shots, Joe, but still have plenty of time.
Well, Tadaro credited with 3 or 4 misses on that last possession. I don't envy the statistician having to input that to the computer.
9 seconds in the quarter. McEwen working against George. McEwen behind the back move, spins, kicking the ball out to Mbesi, who's going to get called for the travel. So the Dolphins working around well, Joe, but unable to get a shot up to the rim.
And that leaves 1/10 of a second remaining in the first half. That should bring us to halftime. Of course, our statistician, Tom Krichkowski, assisted today by Sal Caruso. They have to put that in to the computer there, and they'll put 0.5 back on the clock in this first half, but we'll make that 1.5 as you see it reflected on your screen.
1.5 seconds remaining. These teams even as George, as that's up no good, and not sure that was a long 1.5 seconds, but I guess the ball wasn't touched.
It was.
And I thought it was, but that's going to take us to halftime. And, you know, Joe, we thought it would be a close game all the way. We thought it would be a back-and-forth game, and that's exactly what it's been.
It's been a very entertaining game, and as you said, Mike, we anticipated an entertaining doubleheader today, and the women's game so far has not disappointed. We're knotted up at 33, awaiting a potential guest for a halftime interview. We'll see if they send somebody over.
And while we're waiting, we have an opportunity to say that MCU is one of the oldest and largest credit unions in the country. CUNY students and faculty, as well as staff, are all eligible to join MCU and experience the benefits and security of credit union membership. For more information, please visit Municipal Credit Union's website, nymcu.org, and support the official credit union of CUNY Athletics. And, you know, Joe, we mentioned earlier, it's been a back-and-forth game. Both teams have been able to stick their nose out in front and get a pretty good lead, but both teams fighting their way back, and we go into halftime tied at 33.
And a back-and-forth game certainly makes for a very entertaining game. Early in this one, the Dolphins jumped out to a small lead, but Brooklyn really separated themselves early in the second quarter. I believe their lead got as high as 8 points. I'll double-check their largest lead. Their largest lead was 7. So the Bulldogs got up by 7 early in quarter number 2, but then the Dolphins did a good job of closing the gap and evening up this score before halftime, as they'll run over some halftime stats. We'll take a quick look at those before we break. And taking a look at the halftime numbers, shooting for both teams, Bulldogs up near 62% from the field. Make that their first quarter shooting percentage. Their halftime shooting percentage at 41.5. Still a good number for the Dolphins in the first half. They shot 37.5%. Double-digit scores for the Dolphins in that first half. There were none. It was Megan McEwen leading the way with 8 for Brooklyn. Both Jasmine Hanskin and Chanel Jamat scoring in double digits. Hanskin with 11, all coming in the first quarter, and Jamat with 10. And Mike, it doesn't look like they're sending anyone over, so if you're ready, so am I. We'll break for halftime. When Mike and I come back, we will recap the first half, look ahead to the second half, and maybe talk some men's basketball here on CSI Sportsnet, as we have another big conference matchup upcoming following the conclusion of this women's game. Our score at the half, Bulldogs and Dolphins knotted up at 33.
I, Krista, take you, Jamie, to be my wife.
The ceremony was a blast. It was just like this surreal moment of my dreams are coming true.
When we found out that we were pregnant, we were just elated. We were just sitting there waiting for the pediatrician. She said, "Oh, I apologize. She won't be taking you in as a client."
We are a lesbian couple, but she's just a baby. She's the one you're denying the service to.
And sitting there in that small, cold room, I wanted to cry, just thinking, what did we bring this kid into?
We're simply asking to treat our family the same way that you would treat any family.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be. So we were walking to school. At the corner, we waited for the traffic light.
I started thinking about lunch. Mom packed me turkey and cheese.
She's
I really
smart,
want cheese pizza,
but
like at Luigi's.
sometimes her mind
They have this
wanders.
video game there, and Kate's got the high score. We should have a sleepover. Maybe I should pack my pajamas.
I remember saying, Laura? Laura?
I think I heard Mom say something.
The sign says don't walk.
Sometimes it's so overwhelming.
When we finally got there,
she gave me a hug goodbye.
I really hope she doesn't
I
have
really
another
hope I
bad
don't
day
have
at
another
school
bad day
today.
at school today.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free online resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Here you'll get personalized recommendations, practical tips, daily access to experts, and more. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org.
Be right back.
Hi! You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
What to expect when you're expecting a teenager.
Today we're talking about how to wake up your teen, and this works literally every time.
Give kisses. Give kisses. You heard how loud
I heard. It wasn't you. Yeah. It was the...
Is that bacon?
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care.
I got a crick in my neck, limp in my step, cramping in my muscles every time I try to flex. That I was scared of. It's very sad no more love that I could do was remember you. You know I usually say no, but if you throw me love, I'll throw you some more.
Hi, I'm Peter, and there's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends. Come on in! Help yourself to anything. That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ate than never. To learn more, visit SaveTheFood.com.
I remember, Dad, you and Mom got this car with a hatchback. I said, you know, I'd be happy to give you the money to get a really great car. And he said, well, no, this works for me. I says, why? Because it's the right height to put the meals in. Dad, tell me when you first got an inkling about Meals on Wheels.
There was kind of an abandoned house. That's where we got started with Meals on Wheels. We kind of filled a need for people as they got older.
It's the human interaction that probably fed them much more than the food.
Oh, yeah. When you can see somebody else benefiting by your life in some way, you can't help but feel good about it, I think.
Well, the reason I'm involved, Dad, is because you are, and you're so inspiring. How you've impacted people is enormous.
Drop off a warm meal and get more than you expect. Volunteer at americaletsdolunch.org.
America, let's do lunch.
Dad is an adventure full of special moments.
A cruise!
Surprise!
Unexpected moments.
I got this.
And even awkward moments.
Okay, Dad, thank you.
But every moment you spend with your kids, even the smallest moments, can make the biggest impact on your child's life. So take a moment to be a dad today.
We're back here at halftime. The College of Staten Island and Brooklyn College tied at 33 in exactly the kind of game that we expected it to be this afternoon. And we're lucky enough to be joined by somebody who was in the middle of a lot of these battles between the College of Staten Island and Brooklyn College, and that's CSI great Samantha Flecker. Samantha,
I wouldn't say
welcome back to CSI Sportsnet.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
You know, we've had Sam on, Joe. She's done softball before. She could do all the games. And you know, Sam, what did you think first of this first half here?
Honestly, I'm very surprised because both teams are defensive-wise. There's going to be mistakes, and obviously there were. But shooting-wise, they were both consistent. Like they were missing, then the other team was missing. So like it was like a crapshoot back and forth, you know. But honestly, our defense is what really surprised me because that's what's been winning it for us, and that's what made them win last time by 2 points, I believe it was. But still, I'm very happy with it. Honestly, I said I was having hot flashes watching the first half the entire time, so I wish I was back out there. But, you know, the most I could do is just scream from the sidelines at this point.
Yeah, you know, Sam, you, of course, a 4-year starter with the CSI Dolphin team. What's this first year been like going without basketball after having basketball as part of your life for such a long period of time?
Very, very very weird. Like, I'm doing stats with Tom, like, behind the desk, and it's different from a different perspective. I'm not on the bench. I'm not on the court. So it's, like, a different view of the court, but also I can still be inputted in some kind of way for CSI. So, like, that's what I'm grateful for, and that's what I'm happy about. But, you know, it's still very weird to me. It's going to be a year post-retirement and pretty soon, so.
So I have to ask, not completely retired. You got back out there today in the alumni game. It got off to a good start. I think you hit 3 of your first 4 3-pointers. What do you take away from that game?
Oh, God. I am very out of shape. I can run up and down the court for 40 minutes straight through, but my legs, today, I cannot feel them at this point. It's pretty bad, but, you know, it was just a great time. I was playing girls that I had on my freshman team that were seniors, playing against. I had 3 women on the team that were from, like, the 90s, early 2000s. So it was pretty cool to play with them and, like, see how, you know, not old, but, like, former players as well, you know. So I think that was pretty cool, and it was actually a great experience. And I just can't wait for next year's, which I'm, you know, 365 days from now. But
your performance this morning was certainly far better than mine in the faculty staff game. I think maybe 1 shot went down for me in that game, though it was the only 3-pointer I took, so I was okay with it.
I mean, I had a layup when I played the faculty staff game with you, so I'm very happy with my performance. I was very surprised my first 3 went in because I haven't shot a 3-pointer or shot a bowl in, you know, a few months. But, you know, it's okay.
You know, Jackie, you played 4 years under head coach Tim Shanahan, and, you know, you played alongside Victoria Cray and Christina Passatoro, and then you go ahead and graduate, and, you know, Coach Shanahan moves on to other things, and now your teammates are 2 of the assistant coaches under a first-year head coach. What's the difference been? You're still around the team a little bit. What's the difference been with the way that this year's team has played and been coached compared to last year?
Last year, there's really no differences. We still run the ball the same. It's just they're more sane on the offensive side because we just run the ball. That was pretty much our offense last year, was run the ball, quick plays. That's pretty much what our offense was when we had Timmy. But Nicole actually did a really good job with them when it comes to not slowing the ball down, but setting up the play, keeping their composure and all that stuff, and especially their defense. Their defense is what wins half these games for them, and I'm honestly very happy for them. I'm very happy for Nicole, and especially for Chrissy and Craig, that they actually get to be on the sidelines and get to continue and put their input from what Tim taught them. So it's not like Timmy's really gone. His influence is in them, and his influence will always be here, especially with the former players. So
yeah, you know, there's no doubt about that. Sam, we have just over a minute before we get ready for the start of the second half. What do you expect in this second half from the Dolphins?
Honestly, they have to start running the ball, and they have to crack down the defense. No second-chance shots. No, I don't want to say stupid fouls, but no fouls that can get them into foul trouble. Like Rosa has 2, Diana has 2. Those are the 2 big people that are going to make or break their second half, so they have to stay out of foul trouble.
And Joe, any final questions?
I do have one final thought. It's a not-so-well-kept secret that in the mornings before the workday gets started, I mentioned before, we do have some staff playing basketball, and not only are your former teammates, Christina Passatoro and Victoria Cray, coaches on that team, Kelsey Carrioch, also a coach on the team, really goes at me in those morning games. I've been put to shame many times, got the wind knocked out of me in one of them, so a lot of stellar coaching. I think Kelsey's in large part responsible for a lot of the mid-range game that you and I talked about, Mike. That's definitely a shot that she has down, and she knocks them down all morning long against us in those games.
Kelsey has been working with the bigs very well. Like, Rosa learned how to control a body. Diana is also doing very well on defense. So, like, Kelsey working with them is honestly the best thing that can happen for the bigs, especially for Schmitter, who is a freshman. So by 4 years, like her senior year, she's going to be unstoppable.
So that's going to take us and get us to the start of the second half. Thank you so much, Samantha.
Thank you for having me.
Coming over and joining us, as that's CSI Dolphin Samantha Flecker. Nice enough to come over and join us here this afternoon. And, you know, Joe, you have an opportunity to see the halftime stats up on your board. And, you know, really all the stats very even, exactly the way this game has been played through the first 20 minutes.
Back and forth first half. Very entertaining first half. If I'm going to go out on a limb here, Mike, I'd say the team that really cleans up the turnovers will be the team that comes away with the victory. We'll see if it plays out that way in half number 2.
So here we go, underway as Callie with the basketball, as the Dolphins will have the first possession here in the second half. Callie out by the three-point line. Callie picks up the dribble, now working it over to Mbesi, over to Perone. Her baseline jumper is up, no good. And Henskin will be there for the rebound for the Bulldogs. Pena Lobbing it out over in the corner to George. George's open three-pointer is no good. And Tadero there to grab the rebound for the Dolphins as she picks up our 4th rebound of the afternoon. Each team with one possession. Neither team able to score, and now it's Tadero. Tadero, a beautiful spin move inside, but can't hit the layup. Haskin working the ball out over to Pena. Pena getting it back up over to Mugen. That shot is up, no good. It'll go out of bounds, and referee had her hand up on the play, Joe, for a three-pointer, but her foot was at least 3 inches over the line when she took the shot, but ball didn't go in, so no harm. As McEwen brings the ball up across the midcourt line and drives it down the lane, and will have the ball knocked out of bounds, and it will be Bulldog turnover. So both teams with a couple of possessions, Joe. No points here so far in the second half.
Sloppy start to the second half. Both teams playing very fast, moving up the floor quickly and putting up a quick shot, but nothing coming from it yet. Still scoreless in the second half for both sides. Knotted up at 33.
Haskin with the basketball, looking to work against Tadero. Her one-handed fadeaway is up, no good. And Tadero grabs her second rebound of the second half. And Bessie over to Callie. Beautiful feed inside to Tadero, but a better defensive play by Mugen to come over and knock the ball away.
With that miss, I think Diana just fell to 2 of 11 from the field. She did. 5 early points in that first half, but it's been a rough go of it over the last few minutes at the end of the first half and now into the start of the second half.
Callie getting the ball out by the three-point line. Callie now up over to McEwen. McEwen, that long three-pointer is up, no good. Teams bat the ball around, and Mugen able to come away with possession for the Bulldogs. Pena now gets the ball out over to Jamont. Jamont looking to work against Tadero. Puts up the long jumper. That's up, no good. Tadero, Perot grabs the rebound but can't hold it. And that shot will go out of bounds. So both teams coming out here, Joe, not able to hit their shots here in this third quarter.
Well, both teams remain scoreless in the quarter, and not only have they not hit shots, but their offensive possessions have been a bit out of control. You'd like to see the Dolphins get into their half-court set here if you're a fan of CSI, and Callie quickly puts up a 3 and banks it in.
Banks it in, so Callie gets her first three-pointer, her first basket of the game, and the Dolphins lead now 36-33.
You have to like that she's kept her confidence taking that shot. They were giving her plenty of space. Still not sure that's the shot CSI wanted.
Pena, Perone and Jamont fighting for inside position. Pena tries to lob it inside, and that ball will go out of bounds, so it'll be a turnover now for Brooklyn College as we have an opportunity to see that three-point shot get backed in by Jackie Callie. McEwen, Callie out by the three-point line, now in Bessie. Out over to McEwen. Perone looking to take the ball to the basket, but she'll turn the ball over, and George will come away with the ball. George, a nice feed inside. Tadero will get called for the kick ball. So it will be Brooklyn College basketball 3 minutes into this third quarter. Just one basket here so far, Joe, for each team.
And the way that first half went, that's a bit surprising. These two teams scored the ball pretty well in half number one. Hasn't been the case early in the second half so far.
Callie gets a hand on the ball, but a nice job by George to maintain possession as Brooklyn College has the ball with 12 to shoot. George looks to feed it inside. The ball batted away. Comes to Hanskin, but she misses the shot. And now it's Perone with the ball for the Dolphins.
That makes 0 of 6 for the Bulldogs in this third quarter. Dolphins only 1 of 5.
And Bessie is going to be fouled on the outside. And we're going to have a timeout taken here by Brooklyn College. It'll be a 30-second timeout as head coach Alex Lang didn't like that call very much. And I don't really blame him, Joe, as Pena picks up a second.
Well, his team certainly needed a timeout right there, but if you need sporting goods, Modell's has provided exceptional service for 125 years and offers a 10% discount to all CUNY students, faculty, and staff. When you present your valid CUNY ID upon making a purchase, you've got to go to Moe's for that 10% discount.
You know, Joe, looking here at these third quarter stats, as you mentioned, Staten Island 1 for 5, Brooklyn 0 for 6. both teams struggling from the floor here early in the third.
They certainly have, and I mentioned how quickly both teams seem to be playing, looking to push the tempo a bit, shooting earlier in the shot clock as well, and that's a product of the increased pace of play, and we've seen that negatively affect both teams shooting the basketball. Teams driving it inside aggressively, at times recklessly, resulting in some wild shots. The Jackie Callie three off the window and in, the only basket made by either team in this second half. They're a combined 1 for 11 so far in this third quarter.
So it will be the Dolphins with the basketball as McEwen gets it up over to Callie. She feeds it into Perone, whose layup is up no good, and she's going to draw the foul. Dolphins had a couple of players in the lane there, Joe, but Tadero able to get the ball up over to Perone, who'll go to the line. You see the free throws up on your screen. Dolphins 5 of 8, Brooklyn 7 of 9, as Perone's first free throw is up and no good.
Well, having only played 10 minutes, Perone was a stat sheet stuffer in that first half. She had 4 points on 2 of 3, a couple of steals, a couple of assists, 3 rebounds, but also 4 turnovers in her 10 minutes of play so far, and a couple of personal fouls coming back in the first half as well, relegating her to the bench as she goes to the line and misses a pair here.
Yeah, that second one wasn't even close, and she's a 57% free throw shooter coming into the game, Joe, and you mentioned in their last battle the Dolphins really struggled from the free throw line, going just 10 of 19, and they really struggled down the stretch of that game. So let's see what happens here this afternoon as McEwen nearly loses the ball, but Tadero able to maintain possession. Callie fighting away inside over to Tadero. Her baseline jumper is in and out, and there to grab the rebound is Hanskin for the Bulldogs. Trombone with the basketball. Trombone looking to work the way inside to the free throw line, hands off to George. George and McEwen battling each other all game long, and now it'll be Trombone with the basketball and 10 to shoot. George looking to work against McEwen, and we're going to have a whistle and a foul called on the play. It'll be a blocking foul, as that will be on McEwen. That will be her second and the team's first. And not sure if you can play defense, Joe, if you can't do that. As the ball fed inside to Trombone, her shot is up no good, and the rebound grab by Perone. Ahead to Callie, but Callie misses the layup. Ball knocked out of bounds and knocked off of my broadcast partner there, Joe Foreman. Good play there, Joe.
Yeah, at least I got the head out of the way and preserved the headset. And we nearly lost the headset to water damage during, I believe it was last doubleheader, or even 2 doubleheaders ago. We had some incidents with water over here. So I'll gladly take a basketball if it means we stay dry for the rest of the day, as I took that one off the right arm.
36-33. Just 1 basket scored here so far. In over 4.5 minutes of play, as Trombone goes charging into the lane. And we're going to have a whistle, and although it was never signaled, we're going to have an offensive foul on the play.
Well, we have an aspiring referee to our right, a bit angry about that call, but you might hear it.
I heard it. So that foul will be on Trombone. That will be her first, and the third team foul here on Brooklyn in this third quarter. McEwen getting the ball through the Brooklyn College press over to Perone. Now it's in Bessie as Dolphins looking to get a good offensive set here with this possession. Perone in Bessie in the corner now to Callie, out by the three-point line with 10 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Callie is going to get the reach-in foul on Mugen, as Alexandra will pick up her first personal and the 4th team foul, Joe. So with the next foul, Brooklyn will be over the limit.
And the points at a premium in this quarter. That's huge, because the third quarter is still 3-0 in favor of the Dolphins.
Callie inside to Perone. Perone spins to the basket. That shot is up no good. Tadero able to grab the rebound, and Bessie able to come away with the basketball as both teams scrambling for the ball. As Tadero's bank shot, that's up no good. And Brooklyn with the rebound. The teams combined shooting 1 of 15 here in this third quarter. Feed inside as McEwen comes over, and that ball's going to go out of bounds. And it will remain Brooklyn College basketball. And it's actually 1 of 16, Joe. Brooklyn 0 of 7, CSI 1 of 9 here in this third quarter.
And there's no way around it, Mike. It's been a miserable third quarter shooting the basketball for both of these teams, but neither team shot it well in their last meeting. That changed in the first half of this game, but it's certainly been very poor shooting so far in this third quarter for both sides.
Hanskin driving down the lane, and we're going to have a whistle and a foul on the play, as that foul will be on Callie. As that will be her first and the team's second. As that time Yasmin Hanskin went to the basket hard. She gets up limping a little bit, Joe, but she does appear to be okay. A lot of contact on that last play.
Bodies flying so far in this third quarter. Some very physical play at both ends of the floor. And, Mike, I can tell you from experience, that hurts. She didn't get a chance to break her fall. The blocking foul was called in the lane, and I'm not sure Hanskin got a hand down to support herself as she hit the court, but she will attempt the free throws, and we'll see if that bump she took affects these free throws at all in this situation. Her team trailing by 3. They're huge shots.
Yeah, she was 1 of 2 for the line as she hits the first, and that makes it a 2-point game as Brooklyn gets their first point here in this third quarter. 4 minutes and 13 seconds remaining, 36-34 the score here on the CUNYAC Game of the Week as Yasmin hits both her free throws, and it's now 36-35. And Joe, the Dolphins got a three-pointer by Jackie Callie with about 2.5 minutes gone by in the third quarter, and Hanskin just hit a couple of free throws. That's been it. As Babisky drives to the free throw line, her shot is blocked. She gets it back. Schmidt's jumper is no good. Tadero grabs the rebound. And then McEwen finally able to hit a shot for the Dolphins.
Well, maybe that will break the ice for CSI. They'd still gone a while since their last shot, that Jackie Callie three-pointer. Brooklyn's still looking for their first made field goal in half number 2.
Yeah, and Megan's made her last 2 shots for the Dolphins. She's in double figures now with 10, and the Dolphins lead by 3. Jamont fighting her way to the basket. That's up no good. And the ball is going to be knocked out of bounds, and it will remain Bulldog basketball as you have an opportunity to see that mid-range jumper there by Megan McEwen.
She was back down on the court again, diving after that loose ball along the baseline. And we got another look at those knee sleeves. They are torn all the way down to the foundation as McEwen found herself down on the court once again chasing the loose ball.
So it will remain Brooklyn College possession here with 30 seconds to shoot. Hanskin puts up that long shot. It's blocked. And the rebound grab by Schmidt for the Dolphins. Schmidt, open free throw jumper is good. Big basket there by Kayla Schmidt, and just like that, the Dolphins open up a 5-point lead.
Back-to-back baskets seems like impressive offense so far in this quarter. We haven't seen much scoring.
As Jamad takes care of that as she takes the ball to the basket strong and lays it up and in. She's got 12, and, you know, Joe, if I was Brooklyn College, I would be doing a lot more of that.
I have to agree with you there, Mike. Jamad has found success attacking the rim.
Kamalengo with the basketball. Now it's over to Diana Tadero. Now it's Rabitsky with the basketball. Now McEwen with 9 seconds remaining on the shot clock, looking to work against Taylor George. The pass inside is going to be stolen away by Hanskin, and Brooklyn College will come away with the basketball. Martinez Espina gets the ball back up over to Trembone, and now Brooklyn College will look to set up their offense. Hanskin with the basketball. Now it's Jamont. Jamont fighting away inside. Her baseline jumper is short, and the rebound grab by Schmidt. And now Kamalengo with the basketball. McEwen feeding it to Tadero. Tadero nearly loses possession, but she's able to regain possession, and it's going to be a timeout taken by the Dolphins. It's going to be a full timeout, but let's keep it right here, Joe, because you know, we had a special guest at halftime. Samantha Flecker came over, and, of course, we were talking about the great former Dolphin head basketball coach, Tim Shanahan, and, you know, everything that he's meant to this team and, you know, the foundation that he's laid. And one of his assistants last year, of course, was former Dolphin great basketball player, Allie Shanahan. And, you know, Tim just sent us the great news that Allie and Nick Tingos just had a baby last night. Sophia Ann Tingos was born yesterday at 12:58 a.m. Allie, the baby, and the dad are doing well. And, you know, great news to a great former basketball coach of this team, along with one of the great players in Dolphin history, Allie Shanahan. And, you know, we couldn't be happier for them and the entire family.
Of course, and the Dolphins family continues to grow. Once a Dolphin, always a Dolphin. Unfortunately, Allie couldn't be a part of the alumni game here today, given the situation, but I'm sure we'll have her back in the future. And, of course, she'll be in the building and around the team moving down the line as well. But congratulations to her, Tim, and the rest of the family, to the father, Nick, as well. And of course, a tremendous event for them as the Dolphins family continues to grow. We're very happy for them. And we're about to get back underway here from the tank in this one. And, Mike, I just want to make a quick point about the last Bulldogs possession. We saw the Dolphins keeping Chanel Jamont moving away from the rim on that last shot attempt. I think that's the blueprint for success in defending her. Keep her with her momentum moving away from the basket as Tadaro finishes inside.
Yeah, and that's what you love to see off of a full timeout, Joe. A good offensive sequence. And the Dolphins lead by 5 once again. Jamont with the basketball, looking to work against Tadaro. A beautiful bounce pass inside to Taylor George, who lays it up and in. That's a great play there by Brooklyn College as well, Joe.
And you have to wonder if that was drawn up in the timeout. Of course, Brooklyn didn't get the first possession, but that looked like it worked far too well to be something that was spur of the moment. Good movement off the ball by Brooklyn to get themselves an easy basket. It was much needed.
42-39 now as we're inside of 90 seconds here in the third. Tadaro, Schmitter, back up over to Tadaro. Now Carmelengo with the basketball with 5 seconds to shoot. Christina puts up a wild shot that's off the backboard. No good, but a beautiful play by Tadaro to grab the basketball. And we're going to have a jump ball, and the possession arrow will go to Brooklyn College with 69 seconds. Remaining here in this third quarter.
Well, you want to issue a correction, Mike?
I do. It's Gerard Tingos, not Nick. Sorry about that, Gerard. Taylor George with the basketball, feeding it inside to Jamont, who's able to lay it up and in. So the Dolphins were able to open this lead up, Joe, to 40-35. But since then, Brooklyn College has been able to go on a 6-2 run, and they now have an opportunity to tie with 55 seconds remaining here in the third.
Well, I was following your lead, Mike, so I'm not going to take responsibility for that one. But we did get it right in the end. So, once again, congratulations to Allie and Gerard on their first child.
As Jamont misses the free throw, and the Dolphins control the rebound. Wabisky with the basketball now for the Dolphins. Now she hands off to McEwen, who feeds the ball up over to Carmelengo. Inside to Tadaro, who will get called for the travel. Not much doubt about that one, Joe.
No, we've seen traveling issues plague the Dolphins at times this season as well. We've seen some unforced errors in this game, but fortunately for CSI, those haven't been many, though. Throughout the season, some unforced errors and traveling violations have certainly given them problems, and we'll see if they can clean that up in the fourth quarter as we have a 1-point game inside of 35 seconds remaining in the third.
So it's Muga with the basketball, and we're going to have a whistle and a foul. And that foul will be on Tori Moylan, as Tori is going to pick up her third personal in very limited playing time, and both teams now with 4. So Brooklyn with the basketball, and the shot clock's off. Let's see if they hold for the final shot. They don't, but they're able to control the offensive rebound as that's driven to the basket and laid it up and in by Trembone. And Brooklyn College now has a 43-42 lead. 10 seconds remaining here in the quarter. Wabisky with the basketball. Wabisky looking to drive inside, instead loses possession. Brooklyn College comes away with it. and it'll be out of bounds, and it'll be Dolphin basketball with 2 seconds remaining. And Brooklyn College leading by a score of 43-42. As they're in the middle of an 8-2 run that turned around a 5-point Dolphin lead into a 1-point Bulldog lead. McEwen comes over, the long three-pointer is good! Megan McEwen with the three-pointer at the buzzer, and the Dolphins will go into the fourth quarter with a 45-43 lead. So big basket by McEwen as we have an opportunity to see the nice feed from Rubisky, and McEwen put up the three-pointer. She has 13 to lead all Dolphin scorers. So we'll step aside, take a break. 3 quarters in the books. Dolphins lead by a score of 45-43. You're watching QDAC basketball Game of the Week coverage right here on your voice of everything CSI Sports. CSI Sportsnet, CSIDolphins.com, and Joe, we're going to have a replay take it here on the play, and I don't think there's any doubt that that shot went up well before the buzzer went off, Joe.
I think you're right about that, Mike, and prior to that last shot, both teams were an even 4 of 15 from the field in the third. That shot makes it 5 of 16 for the Dolphins. The shot is good. That is confirmed. And that wraps up our coverage of the third quarter. Mike and I will be right back with the fourth in just a couple minutes.
Oh, look up now. You make me wear my bike helmet. You taught me never to run with scissors.
You tell me to stay away from drugs.
To always buckle my seatbelt. And to follow the swimming rules.
You're always looking out for me and trying to keep me safe.
So why do you keep a loaded gun in your drawer?
Here in the garage.
Closet, shoebox, under the bed.
Where anyone can get to it.
How safe is that?
How safe is that?
How safe is that?
You asked them to follow some safety rules. Now they're asking you. In fact, they're counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. If you own a firearm and are not using it, please be responsible and be sure that it's stored in a safe place. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org.
We're back here with 10 minutes remaining in this game. 45-43 the score, Joe. We knew it would be a wild and crazy game, but what a wild and crazy third quarter that was.
Certainly not what we expected from the third quarter. Both teams shot it well in the first half. That was not the case in the third. I said it just before break. Brooklyn was 4 of 15, but that last make by Megan McEwen, CSI 5 of 16. And once again, McEwen hits a very timely basket for CSI, and that's been the case all season for Megan. She's hit huge shots for this Dolphins team time and time again.
Yeah, she got hot in the third quarter, and that helped the Dolphins retake a 2-point lead heading into the fourth as Moylan takes that jumper, and that's up no good. And Mugen will grab the rebound now for Brooklyn College. Trembone with the basketball. Trembone looking to feed it inside, and we're going to have a kickball called on CSI. About 30 minutes or so after the conclusion of this game, we'll be right back to bring you the second game of the CUNYAC doubleheader coverage of the week, as these two teams will battle in a game with big implications in the men's standings. But Brooklyn able to come back with a basket to tie this one up at 45. McEwen looking to drive inside, a lot of contact, and then Schmitter just throws the ball away, and here comes George with the basketball. George running her way inside. That shot's up, no good, and Carmelengo up to grab the rebound. Carmelengo fighting for possession, and we're going to have a whistle and a jump ball, and it will be Brooklyn College basketball. So kind of like the third quarter, Joe, both teams coming out a little helter-skelter offensively.
Well, I mentioned the pace of play picking up early in that third quarter, and that's been the case here in the fourth as well. Both teams sprinting up the floor, dribbling into the painted area aggressively and trying to score, and in many cases that has not yielded any positive results. And so far in this third quarter, the lone basket belongs to Brooklyn College. They're 1 of 2 from the field. Dolphins 0 of 2. Both teams certainly hope they get some better shooting in this fourth quarter than they did in the third. As you get a look at Megan McEwen's numbers in this game, what you don't see on your screen is her shooting from the field. Got off to a bit of a slow start, 1 of 7 from the field, but now is 5 of 12 from the field, including 2 of 5 from beyond the arc. So Megan picking up her play to the level we're accustomed to seeing from her, and typically it's been late in games where she has done some of her best work, hitting clutch shots and getting it done from the foul line as well.
We mentioned earlier what a huge game this is in the standings here for the Dolphins. Dolphins coming in, leading the CUNYAC Conference with a record of 11-1, tied with Hunter College. Brooklyn at 9-2, CCNY at 9-4. So you can see the huge implications of this basketball game. As a nice drive to the basket by Trembone. She lays it up and in. She only has 6, Joe, but she has 4 of those 6 here in this fourth quarter.
And those points are always the biggest, the points in the fourth, especially in a game that was tied prior to that basket. We have another timeout called, I believe this time by the Dolphins, a 30-second timeout. So we'll stay right here. And we mentioned the poor shooting in the third. Both teams would like to see that turn around in the fourth, but this increased pace of play has resulted in some additional turnovers as well in the fourth so far. These teams, between the two of them, already with a turnover, I should say the Dolphins with a lone turnover in the fourth. In the third, it was 10 turnovers between the two teams, 6 by the Dolphins and 4 by the Bulldogs. So the Bulldogs cleaned up their turnover woes just a bit as you get a look at the tally for the game for both sides. But the Dolphins picking up their pace in the turnover department with 6 in the previous quarter. And in that quarter, 4 Brooklyn points off of turnovers. Those 6 Dolphins turnovers resulting in 4 points for the Bulldogs. Dolphins certainly want to clean things up in this fourth quarter, shoot the ball better. We'll see if they can get started doing that right here.
So Brooklyn has scored 12 out of the last 17 points, and they have a 2-point lead. Perone, a nice feed inside. That shot is up, no good. And Brooklyn College with the rebound and the basketball. Nice feed inside to Jaman. Her short jumper is up, no good. And Wabisky there to grab the rebound now for the Dolphins.
Well, Mike, a bit concerning. Brooklyn is outscoring the Dolphins in the paint 28-16 in the game. You don't see that very often in these matchups.
As we're going to have a whistle and an offensive foul called, and I'm not sure how much contact there was on that play, but the Dolphins will turn the ball over on the offensive foul. Dolphins 0 of 3 from the field here in this fourth quarter. And they find themselves down by 2. Trombone with the basketball. Trombone with all 4 points here in the fourth quarter. That ball will be knocked out of bounds, but it will remain Bulldog basketball. As Tadaro will check in, she'll replace Kayla Schmitter, as Schmitter will go to the bench. Just under 8 minutes remaining here in the fourth.
It's been a rough game for Tadaro. 3 of 14 from the field with 7 points. I believe 5 of those came in the first half. She has 6 rebounds, but 3 turnovers as well. Defensively, a pair of steals and a pair of blocks.
So Brooklyn to inbound the basketball as they get the ball up over to Haskin. As she'll hand the ball off to Trembone. As Brooklyn now has 8 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Haskin. And we're going to have a whistle and a foul called on the Dolphins. Away from the basketball, as that will be on Perone, and that will be her third and the second team foul on the Dolphins.
Those away from the play fouls are so costly, as at least if you're fouling on a shot, you may be preventing an easy opportunity.
As we're going to have a whistle and a jump ball, and this time possession will go to the Dolphins.
And not only do you lose the opportunity to take away some easy chances around the rim by running up your team foul total, but down the stretch of the game, the team that goes to the line and converts is often the team that wins, especially in a game right now that's 2-point differential in favor of the Bulldogs.
As the Dolphins turn the ball over once again, and it's George with the basketball. George feeds it up over to Haskin. Her shot is up, no good. And here comes Wabisky for the Dolphins. Over to McEwen. McEwen's open jumper is good. Big basket by Megan McEwen, and Joe, she's really started to heat up.
And she loves those wing jumpers, whether it be from mid-range or three-point range. Megan shoots an incredible percentage on those wing jump shots, knocks another one down there.
Dolphins' first points of the fourth quarter, and Now the Dolphins will get called for their another foul as we have an opportunity to see that McEwen jumper as McEwen picks up her third. The Dolphins with 3 team fouls here in the fourth. Brooklyn College yet to pick up a foul.
And we're less than 3 minutes into this fourth quarter, Mike. And as I said before, those fouls could be cost, whether we like the calls or not. I'm sure there are some fans to our right who appreciate them on the Brooklyn side.
George with the basketball, now getting the ball out over to Pena as she looks to set up offensively now for the Bulldogs. Pena, and now we're going to have an offensive foul on Alexandra Mugen as she didn't set her feet, and she's going to get called for the offensive foul.
And she's been upset with the officiating throughout this game. Thought she was fouled on a couple of three-pointers in the corner, got knocked down, and didn't appreciate that offensive foul called against her on top of it. So Mugen has had her gripes with the refereeing so far.
So Carmelengo out on the floor here for the Dolphins in this fourth quarter as she looks to drive to the basket, kicks it out over to McEwen. Her three-pointer is up, no good. And Jamont there to grab the rebound for Brooklyn College.
Good screen there by Rosa Perone, forcing a defensive switch and opening up McEwen on the outside. Megan just couldn't hit the shot.
As 2 Dolphins hit the floor, they feed it inside to a wide-open Jamont, who lays it up and in.
Well, that's either a well-coordinated flopping effort by a pair of Dolphins or one Dolphin went down and the other was shoved. Looked like Perone may have been the victim of an extension of the arm a bit. That was not called, and that opened it up for an easy Bulldogs basket.
So Mugen will check out of the game for Brooklyn College as Hanskin checks back in along with Martinez Espina as Tadero gets that pass, and the Dolphins look to run their possession with 20 seconds remaining on the shot clock. A pass stolen, turned over, and then McEwen picks up a foul on the play, and that's going to be her fourth. And Joe, nearly 4 minutes into this fourth quarter, the Dolphins have 1 basket.
And this spells trouble for the Dolphins down the stretch. Already 14 fouls, as you said, less than 4 minutes into this fourth quarter. We haven't seen too many free throw attempts so far, though the Bulldogs have had more success. The charity stripe, they're 9 of 12. The Dolphins 5 of 10.
So let's see what the Bulldogs do here as it's George with the basketball, feeding it up over to Hanskin. Now Pena with 15 to shoot for Brooklyn. Martinez Espina. Her jumper is up and in. 3-point goal, and Brooklyn College finds themselves up by 5, 52-47.
Brooklyn outscoring the Dolphins 9-2 in this fourth quarter. They're 4 of 7 from the field. Dolphins only 1 of 5.
As Perone fights her way inside, and she'll draw the foul. And we're going to have a technical foul as well on the play. So let's see what happens here with the officials, Joe. What do you say?
Well, we're going to get a replay in just a moment. The technical foul was called against Brooklyn after the foul call. The technical was on Jasmine Hanskin, number 25 for Brooklyn College. We're going to look at that replay in just a few moments, but Perone was fouled underneath, really had nowhere to go with it. Didn't look like anyone moved their feet. Hands were straight up. I'm thinking Perone may have initiated the contact, but that play did take place down around that restricted area. So the officials are discussing it right now. We have a break in the action. There hasn't been an announcement as to what's going on, but I know at the very least there was a foul called on the play. I believe it had to have gone against Hanskin. Here's a look at the replay.
Yeah, we see Carmelengo feeding the ball inside to Perone. She fought her way inside and might have been a little bit bailed out with the foul call. And then I think Hanskin gave a little bit of a push. It wasn't much to Perone, and that might have been what triggered the technical foul. And I kind of hope it wasn't, because there really wasn't that much there, Joe.
It would be unfortunate to see a technical result from that, but that may very well be the case here. We'll see. You saw the push. I didn't catch that on the initial replay. I thought maybe Hanskin said something to the official that triggered the technical. She didn't appear to be too happy with the call. And watching the replay, all I could see that would result in a foul there is that she was positioned in the restricted area. We'll get another look at it right now. It's Perone working against Jamad, and Hanskin comes over from the left to help. And they really trapped Perone down around the basket. She is just inside the restricted area. Hands were straight up. Perone look to have initiated the contact, but we do have a technical foul. So Rosa Perone is headed to the line for a pair of technical free throws.
So Haskell is going to get both of those fouls. So Perone will go to the free throw line here for the Dolphins. And Rosa 0 of 2 from the line here this afternoon. She was shooting 57% coming into the game here.
These are huge, Mike. 2 huge free throws. Really 4 coming up.
As that first free throw is up and in. And that makes it a 4-point game. And it's just the 3rd point for the Dolphins, Joe, here in this 4th quarter. As that second free throw is up off the rim and no good. And now McEwen will go to the line to shoot the free throws. So 2 free throws now coming up for McEwen as she will shoot the free throws, and the first one is up and in.
So these are the technicals, Mike. Those first 2 are as a result of the personal foul. Perone taking those, and McEwen, a better percentage free throw shooter, will head to the line to shoot the 2 technicals, knocks down the first and the second.
So McEwen calmly drains both, and it's now a 2-point game, 52-50. And now Haskell has 4 personals on the afternoon, and the Dolphins will inbound the basketball now with Joe with an opportunity to tie or take the lead.
What a huge swing. Dolphins were trailing by 5, 52-47
as the Dolphins turn the ball over, a big turnover for the Dolphins, and they now trail 54-50, and now Carmelengo gets called for the travel as Christina's saying she never even moved the feet.
Well, we may see that again as well, Mike.
The official doesn't care, and it will be Brooklyn College basketball as the Dolphins' offensive struggles here in the 4th quarter continue.
And that's a way to recapture the momentum by the Bulldogs, as that's nearly a 5-second violation. It is.
As the Bulldogs now turn the ball over, and didn't quite catch the replay there, Joe. So now the Dolphins will inbound the basketball. Rubisky. Pass goes up over to Mbesi, who feeds it ahead to Perone. Ahead of the field to Tadero, who lays it up and in. Nice job by the Dolphins to break the press and make it a 2-point game.
Huge basket by the Dolphins. Still plenty of time, over 5 minutes to play, 1 possession game.
So now it's Pena. Pena looking to work against Rubisky. Pena now out by the 3-point line. She puts up the mid-range jumper and banks it up and in. And Brooklyn will take a timeout off of that made basket. It'll be a full timeout, so let's step aside and take a break here. 4 minutes and 52 seconds remaining here in the 4th quarter. Dolphins trail by a score of 56-52 as you're watching CUNYAC Game of the Week coverage right here on CSI Sportsnet, CSIDolphins.com.
Don't worry, 74 people were picked before me in the NFL draft.
To fight childhood obesity, United Way and the NFL are helping kids play at least 60 minutes a day.
Okay, time for the team obstacle course. Yay!
What this place needs is more healthy kids. To get involved or donate, go to unitedway.org/play60.
Now I get it.
We're back here with 4 minutes and 52 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter. The Dolphins find themselves trailing by a score of 56-52. And, you know, Joe, for the Dolphins, their offensive struggles continue here in the 4th quarter.
They certainly have. And just a quick heads up, we're working on the scoreboard issue. The score when the Dolphins basket was scored did not reflect the 2 points scored by the Dolphins. The scoreboard read 54-50, but then it reflected the Bulldogs basket 56-50 on our scoreboard. We got it back up and running. That is the correct score, 56-52. But you said it, Mike. The Dolphins have struggled offensively in this quarter. And as I said, coming out of the halftime break, the team that cleaned up the turnover issues was the team I thought that win this game. And right now the Dolphins are being plagued by turnover problems, especially in this 4th quarter.
Yeah, you know, Joe, for the Dolphins, that's going to be their 6th turnover here in the 4th quarter. And the Dolphins with 7 points and 6 turnovers here in the fourth. Pena with the basketball. Now Jamont. Jamont tries to put the ball behind the back. Now Mugen with the open three-pointer. That goes halfway down and out. And Perone there to grab the rebound for the Dolphins. Rubisky with the basketball. Now Carmelengo. She's been playing the majority of this fourth quarter for the Dolphins. Now Rubisky feeds it out over to Dodaro out at the three-point line. Now inside to Perone. Her layup is up, no good. Jamont there to grab the rebound. She goes to the floor, and the Dolphins come away with the turnover. Rubisky picking up the basketball, now hands the ball out over to Carmelengo as the Dolphins look to set up offensively with 20 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Carmelengo drives down the lane. Her wild layup is up, no good. And Mugen there to grab the rebound for the Dolphins.
Dolphins have simply had no success around the rim in this second half. It's been a really tough going of it for them on the inside. They've gone up with some wild shots and simply been unable to finish or draw fouls.
Brooklyn College 6 of 10 here in the fourth from the field. The Dolphins 2 of 8 as they feed the ball inside to Jamont, who lays it up and in. And the Dolphins now find themselves down by 6 with 3 minutes and 16 seconds remaining here in the fourth. That pass is going to be nearly stolen away, and the Dolphins will pick up the foul as George will pick up her second. And 3 minutes and 12 seconds remaining here in this fourth quarter.
McEwen and Cowley check back in for the Dolphins. CSI right now with their starting 5 on the floor. You have to think they'll be out there the rest of the way.
Dolphins outscored 15-7 so far here in this fourth quarter with 3 minutes remaining. Perone with the basketball. Now gets it up over to Tadero. Her jumper from the free throw line extended is no good. And Hanskin there to grab the rebound, and she'll be fouled in the backcourt. And now the Dolphins will be over the limit, so that will lead to free throws coming up here for Brooklyn College. And you know, Joe, the Dolphins with just 12 points in the third quarter, just 7 points here so far in the fourth, just 19 points through the first 17 minutes of the second half.
If they played the same defense they played in the third, here in the fourth, scoring 7 wouldn't be as big of an issue, but Brooklyn has come out shooting the ball red hot in the fourth quarter. They're 7 of 11 from the field in this fourth quarter. The Dolphins have gone to the line 4 times, knocked down 3 of those. That's the first free throw attempt for the Bulldogs here in the fourth. But I should also note that with that last foul call, Rosa Perone picks up her 4th. Megan McEwen was on the bench. She had 4, re-entered the game with Jackie Cowley at the last whistle. McEwen leading the way for the Dolphins with 17. They can't afford to lose her.
So one more free throw upcoming, and that's up and in. And Brooklyn College now with an 8-point lead and under 3 minutes remaining. And the Dolphins in danger of dropping down into second or third place as they turn the ball over once again. And, you know, Joe, the Dolphins have really struggled. 7 turnovers here in this fourth quarter to go along with their 2 of 9 shooting. And they find themselves down by 8 and really 1 possession away from having really no realistic chance of coming back. As Georgia's three-pointer is up, no good. But the Dolphins can't grab the rebound. Now Mugen puts up the three-pointer. That's no good. And we're going to have a whistle and a loose ball foul on the inside. And not a good shot that time by Alexandra, as it's going to be Hanskin who's going to pick up her 5th personal foul, Joe.
Well, that's big for the Dolphins, as not only does that foul Hanskin out, but that's the 15th foul of the quarter for Brooklyn. That allows CSI to stop the clock and hopefully chip into the deficit at the line. We have a nice sound effect there with Hanskin fouling out and taking her seat on the bench. That coming from public address announcer Chris White over there at the scorer's table. But it's Kayla Schmitter at the line for the Dolphins, shooting 2 with a chance to cut this down to a 2-possession game and trim the deficit down to 6 points. Huge free throws upcoming.
The first one for Schmitter is up and no good. She'll have 1 more upcoming. And, you know, all year long, Joe, the Dolphins just shooting 62% from the free throw line, and it nearly cost them in that first game against Brooklyn. And they make 1 of 2 and now find themselves down by 7 with 2:23 remaining as the ball's knocked out of bounds, and it will remain Brooklyn College basketball. And they will get to inbound. And, you know, if I'm Brooklyn College here, Joe, I'm not in any hurry at all to shoot the basketball.
Absolutely not, but they do take a quick shot and miss it.
But the Dolphins can't grab the offensive rebound, and Jamont's there to lay the ball up and in. And the Dolphins now trail by their biggest margin of the game. It's 9 points, 62-53, as McEwen drives wildly into the floor, and the ball will go out of bounds. It'll remain Dolphin basketball, but Joe, the Dolphins haven't run their offense effectively really at all in the second half.
No, they haven't. And I mentioned how well they've scored the ball inside throughout the season. That has not been the case in this game. It's been a struggle.
Schmidt with the basketball, feeds it inside to Perone, who lays it up and in to make it a 7-point game with 1 minute and 52 seconds remaining in this game.
No struggle there, Mike, and that's what we saw from Rosa Perone back in the first quarter. Dolphins need more of that, and quickly.
1 minute 40 remaining. Dolphins really need to foul here, Joe. Getting the ball back with 1 minute 15 left, down 7. Long way to come back, but they choose to run it out. Let's see what happens here with 9 as George drives inside, feeds it to a wide-open Jamont. That's no good, but she's there to lay it up and in and draw the foul, and that's going to do it, Joe, as Brooklyn College opens their lead up to 9.
Well, I think that may very well be the dagger, Mike. Dolphins got the stop they needed, and last possession was really the stop they needed desperately, and they did get it, allowed the offensive rebound. Jamont able to finish, and she'll find her way back to the free throw line yet again. CSI simply has not closed out these defensive possessions with offensive boards. They've had no answer for Jamont at the offensive end of the floor. She's had herself a solid game for the Bulldogs, shooting 10 of 19 from the field. She now has 24 points, also 4 of 6 from the line in this one. It's been a tremendous effort for her. On top of that, 15 rebounds. She's really swayed the rebounding battle Brooklyn's way on top of her efficient scoring. So it's been an all-around effort for Jamont in this one. And taking a look at the rebounding tally, it's actually CSI +7 in the game. So fortunately for Brooklyn, they've had Jamont down there to help as we hear some MVP chants coming from the Brooklyn fans to our right. They've been into this one, as have the Dolphins fans, but looks like it will be cheers for the Brooklyn fans.
Yeah,
late.
and Joe, those rebounding stats are a little misleading because here in the fourth quarter, when the game has been decided, it's been 11-6 Brooklyn College with rebounds, including 4-0 on the offensive end. And Brooklyn College has outscored the Dolphins 21-10 here in the fourth quarter, shooting 9 of 17 from the field compared to just 3 of 11 from the CSI Dolphins. So when it got down into crunch time here in the fourth quarter, it's been all Brooklyn College.
Yeah, and you mentioned that rebounding numbers in the fourth quarter, the 11-6, and taking a look at some of the fourth quarter numbers overall, the shooting has favored Brooklyn. The rebounding has favored Brooklyn. The free throw shooting has favored the Dolphins in terms of free throw attempts, but the percentage all the same for both sides. Brooklyn has hit the lone three-pointer in this fourth quarter. They're 1 of 4. The Dolphins 0 of 1. But I said it before, Mike, the Dolphins typically outscore their opponents in the paint on a consistent basis. In just about every game they play, that has not been the case in this one. CSI has had some good looks inside and from the mid-range area. They haven't been able to knock those looks down. They've seen their shooting dip under 34% for the game. Brooklyn is up to 41%. Overall, I mentioned the points in the paint. Brooklyn now leads in that department, 38-20.
The hospital for special surgery, Joe, is where the world comes to get back in the game. The hospital is ranked #1 in the nation for orthopedics by U.S. News and World Report. No wonder the hospital for special surgery is the official hospital of the CUNYAC. For more information, please visit www.hss.edu. Brooklyn College with the basketball, a 9-point lead and 20 seconds on the shot clock. And now Bessie will come out and commit the personal foul. But, by this point, Joe, it could be too little too late. And, let's take a quick look here as Brooklyn College is poised now with that basket to take a 4-possession lead. They will up their record to 10-2 after their win here this afternoon. The Dolphins will drop to 11-2, but more concerningly, if you're a CSI Dolphin fan, Joe, they have to travel to Hunter College this Tuesday afternoon, and should they drop that game and drop down to 3 losses, there's a very good chance that they will be a 3 seed in the CUNYAC Conference as Callie puts up that open three-pointer and buries it. to make it a 8-point game with 51.1 seconds remaining as George goes down to the ground and the Dolphins commit the foul.
Dolphins fouling quickly, and you mentioned that upcoming matchup with Hunter, and it's a game that if the Dolphins want to earn themselves a first-round bye, they may very well need now, with Brooklyn picking up the big victory over CSI in this game today. And we said it last year, you never really want to host a quarterfinal round game, and the men learned that the hard way, nearly losing to Brooklyn. We mentioned it back during the pregame, but we've seen it. Sorry, Mike.
That first free throw is no good.
And signaling something to me.
Yeah, I'm saying that only 4 teams from the women's side will get into conference play. They go right to the semifinals on the women's side this year, as the Dolphins will take a timeout down 9 with 49.2 seconds remaining. And, once again, Joe, it came down to the fourth quarter and the second half, really. And, we went into halftime, Dolphins with a 2-point lead, but Dolphins, barely able to put up double digits in the third quarter and, here in the fourth quarter as well. And, Brooklyn College doing a very nice job offensively and defensively in the fourth quarter, and they've used it to pull away here in the closing stages.
Well, the third quarter was just about even. Dolphins won that quarter 12-10. Outshot the Bulldogs by 1 made field goal attempt. CSI was 5 of 16. Brooklyn was 4 of 15. We mentioned the poor shooting by both teams in quarter number 3 when that quarter came to an end. But in the fourth, as we've said already, it has been all Brooklyn. They've scored 24 points in this fourth quarter. That's by far the highest scoring output for a team in a quarter in this game. Brooklyn did score 21 back in the first, but have eclipsed that now by 3 points in quarter number 4. They're 9 of 17 from the field, 53% shooting, and CSI got a 3-pointer from Jackie Calley their last trip down the floor, but it is likely going to be too little too late for CSI. Overall, they're 4 of 12 in the quarter. The turnovers continue to be an issue for them. They have 7 in quarter number 4, and I said it already, they have not done the good work in the paint that we've seen them do throughout this season. That's really been a big part of why Brooklyn was able to pull away late in this game. CSI could not convert their opportunities inside, didn't get to the free throw line enough, and we've seen this team struggle shooting from the outside at times throughout the season, going on big scoring droughts, and they went on a scoring drought early in this fourth quarter, and it looks like that is going to cost them this game and force them to play Hunter in a big game coming up later this week.
And Bessie looking to lob the ball inside, and instead the Dolphins turn it over once again. And, Joe, that's really been the story here in the fourth quarter. 8 Dolphin turnovers here in the fourth.
It's been sloppy play characterizing the CSI offensive attack in this fourth quarter. They just haven't had it in quarter number 4 as you get a look at the overall turnover total on my iPad in front of Mike and I, and it's 26-19. Dolphins with 26, Bulldogs with 19. And we mentioned at halftime it was the Bulldogs coming into this game averaging more turnovers. They average about 20 turnovers per game. The Dolphins at around 18, but Dolphins eclipsed their turnover mark by about 8 turnovers, and Brooklyn, if they wrap this game up with those 19 turnovers, will have done better than their season's average in that department. So Brooklyn cleaned up the turnover problems after halftime. The Dolphins did not, and it looks like CSI is certainly going to come up short in this game as a result.
So Jamont will go to the free throw line once again, and that's up and no good, and we're going to have a whistle and a timeout taken here by the Dolphins with 43.6 seconds remaining here in this game. And programming note, Joe, about a half hour or so after the conclusion of this game, we'll be right back to bring you more CUNYAC Game of the Week coverage as you'll bring us play-by-play as the men get ready to face Brooklyn College in another huge CUNYAC Conference swing game late in the season.
And with this game appearing to be decided, we'll talk about the men just a bit. Since the last time we were on the air, the men have only played a single game, same as the women. It was against the Cardinals of York College. However, the result was not the same. The men dropped that game to the Cardinals, a team they defeated back on January 3rd here at the Tank. They won that game big, a 21-point victory, 91-70 against York earlier in January. In the game back on January 29th, 3 days ago, Dolphins fell by 5. The final score in that one, 69-64. And I caught the York live stream. A lot of credit to them. A very good stream over there at York College as well, much like our own. But CSI in that game simply didn't have it. They shot the ball very poorly in that game, couldn't buy a bucket, had some good open looks, and simply did not knock them down. York scoring just enough to outlast CSI in that game as we have another Dolphins turnover here. That total continues to pile up.
Yeah, it's that time Jackie Callie just bringing the ball up the center of the floor, and really a lack of communication by the Dolphins. Is George able to come up right behind her and steal the basketball, as Callie will pick up the personal foul. And she'll also pick up an unsportsmanlike conduct foul. So that will send Taylor George to the free throw line, and game already pretty much decided. So George going to the line as her first free throw is up and in. And, Joe, the Bulldogs back to the line once again as they open up their biggest lead of the game. It's 10 points that they could continue to build on with just 39.1 seconds remaining in the game. And, one thing that this shows us is that there's still some regular season left for the Dolphins. That big game against Hunter College, and the CUNYAC tournament is going to be a barn burner, and it clearly looks like Brooklyn, Hunter, and CSI are right up there. But I wouldn't count out CCNY. That's currently sitting in fourth place as well, Joe.
And it should be a very entertaining tournament, and the one seed much coveted, as the Dolphins earlier this year had success against the Beavers of CCNY, will now have losses to both Hunter and Brooklyn. At least one loss to Hunter, could very well be two. And the Dolphins in their matchup with CCNY only outlasted the Beavers by 5 points. So no easy matchups for CSI, but you would certainly prefer not to face a team that has beaten you during the regular season. CCNY dropped both games to the Dolphins, but Brooklyn will have a single victory against CSI, and Hunter could very well have two.
So the Bulldogs with the basketball now, about a 9-second differential on the game clock to the shot clock. George with the basketball now, as now the Dolphins look to double team the basketball. They get it up over to Trombone. Trombone working the ball now in the corner over to Long, and she's going to be out of bounds. So it will be Dolphin ball off the turnover with 19 seconds remaining. And Bessie to inbound the basketball as McEwen will bring the ball up the floor. As I think we had a shot clock issue, Joe. So with a 12-point lead in 18 seconds remaining, we're going to put that 2 seconds back on the game clock.
They'll reset it back to where it was before the inbound pass was made, and Dolphins will inbound again, but it won't matter. They're down by 12 inside of 20 seconds. So you said it before, Mike. With the defeat, the Dolphins drop to 17-5 on the year, 11-2 in the CUNYAC, and that makes things very interesting down the stretch. A number of different scenarios that could play out atop the CUNYAC conference on the women's side. Huge matchup looming against Hunter College coming up 3 days from now on February 5th. The pair of games remaining beyond that Hunter matchup are against Lehman and Baruch. Dolphins beat Lehman by 40 back on January 9th and defeated Baruch here at the Tank by 29 back on January 16th. So if the Dolphins do win those final two games, they would have to take that matchup against Hunter to have a shot at finishing atop the CUNYAC conference. We'll see if that happens, but CSI with a big matchup upcoming, to say the least, and you hate to have that game coming up next after a letdown like they had in this one.
Well, the Dolphins bounced back from their tough loss at home against Hunter College to go on the road and defeat Brooklyn, and they're going to have to do the same thing going into Hunter on Tuesday, as Brooklyn College able to come into the Tank and defeat the College of Staten Island by a final score of 70-60.
And we'll take a look at some individual stats very quickly from this one. Leading the way in scoring for Brooklyn was Chanel Jamont with 25 points. Jasmine Hanskin also added 15, and Taylor George had 11. Those three scores, the double-digit scores for Brooklyn College in the game. Jamont also contributed 15 rebounds in the game. Alexandra Mugen also had 8 rebounds of her own. She did not reach the 1,000-point mark today. She was 3 of 8 from the field, scoring 9 points. She'll need to score 8 more to reach that milestone. For the Dolphins in this one, leading the way was Megan McEwen. She was the only double-digit scorer in the game for CSI. She had 17 points in the game on 6 of 15. 2 of 6 from beyond the arc, and it was really struggles across the board. Taking a look down the line for the rest of the Dolphins, Diana Todaro, 4 of 16. Jackie Callie, 2 of 6. Rosa Perron once again plagued by foul trouble. She was 3 of 6 on the game. Brianna Rabisky and Kayla Schmitter both 2 of 5 overall team numbers. Shooting in the game for Brooklyn, 41%. CSI down at 35%. And I mentioned the points in the paint being huge in this one. Dolphins outscored 38-20 in the paint. That's a big reason why they fell short. Also, the turnover numbers, that battle favored Brooklyn in this game. They turned it over 20 times, the Dolphins with 27.
So that's going to wrap things up here with our Game 1 coverage of the CUNYAC Game of the Week. The Dolphins lose this one by a final score of 70-60. So we'll be back in about a half hour or about 15 minutes or so to get you ready for the start of the second game of our CUNYAC Game of the Week coverage, as these two teams will battle, but this time with the CSI men taking on the men of Brooklyn College. So for my broadcast partner, Joe Foreman, and our broadcast engineer, Nicholas Durst, this is Mike Babuski saying so long and thanks for watching. Once again, the final score, Brooklyn College 70, CSI 60. So stay tuned. We'll see you in about 15 minutes as we get ready to bring you the second half of our CUNYAC Game of the Week coverage. Stay tuned with us, everybody.